Hey guys, DC Network here, coming at you with another video. So a few years back now, we saw Mr. Warburton, the creator of Codename Kids Next Door, release a video on YouTube titled Galactic Kids Next Door, and it kind of set the internet on fire at the time. Many people were wondering, oh man, is Codename Kids Next Door coming back? This looks awesome, this series looks really cool. And unfortunately at the time, we discovered that this was something that was pitched to Cartoon Network. They did not give it the green light, they denied it, they rejected it, and it's kind of been in the same situation ever since then. There's been no updates on whether or not Cartoon Network has reconsidered, making this series. There's been a lot of fan involvement trying to make this series greenlit, or at least show Cartoon Network the interest in this series, but nothing's really happened since then, and it's been a few years now. It's been a while. I want to say it's been 4 years or so since this first clip initially came out, and today I wanted to talk about what the likelihood is that this series ever happens, and why I do think, honestly, it might be a little more likely that if it was pitched again now, it might actually get the green light. And the reason for that is because who is the current president of Cartoon Network? It is Michael Ohaleen. Michael Ohaleen has been at the network for a long time, and he was the director of programming when Cartoon Network was airing Codename Kids Next Door. And it seems to me that since he's been named the new president of Cartoon Network, there's been a little bit of a focus on bringing back in some older IPs. We saw them bring back Craig McCracken for a new Powerpuff Girls, for the new Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends preschool series. We saw them bring back Gendy Tartakovsky. There's been no announcement of any older IP returning on Gendy's part, but we can presume that at some point down the line, Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, or even Symbiotic Titan might return for either additional seasons, a movie, a special event, or something. I doubt they're going to do nothing with those IPs now that Gendy's back. So it seems like Cartoon Network is trying to rely a little bit on their older IPs, which is something that I've been wanting them to do for years. They have this whole library of shows. They have all these fantastic series from their 30-year history that they just do nothing with. It seems to me, like I said before, that Michael Ohaleen is trying to lean a little bit back on some of their classic IPs, and what better one to bring back than Codename Kids Next Door in the form of Galactic Kids Next Door. And I honestly do think this series would do really well on the channel for a couple of reasons. Number one, it seems like it is targeting an older audience, which is something that Cartoon Network right now doesn't really have anything on the channel that is directly targeting an older audience. All they have right now is Teen Titans Go, We Baby Bears, and Craig of the Creek. None of those are targeting a young adult or, teenage audience, which I feel like is probably what this show would, appeal to or be the main demographic for it. The other thing as well is they don't have any shows that have a long form story. This is something that has always been kind of, I don't want to say taboo in the kids animation industry, but it's been something that a lot of companies try to steer away from. And the reason why is because they want to be able to air the episodes in whatever order they want, so a kid can pick up on episode 5 and then they can go back and watch episode 1, and nothing's going to be weird about that. It's just going to be like you're watching an episode of your favorite cartoon on a random day. But there have been in the past some instances where shows have actually done a long form story. Like if we look at Disney, Gravity Falls was a show that did a long form story, and that was really successful at the time, and to this day Disney still airs a lot of Gravity Falls reruns. We see on Cartoon Network some older series as well, like Adventure Time had a somewhat long form story. They had little plot points sprinkled throughout the episodes. Regular Show season 8 was pretty much entirely just a long form story for season 8. So they've done it in the past, but it's not the most common thing in animation. So it'd be nice to see them go back and actually make another long form series again, because I feel like it adds variety to the channel. It's just something that, if everything you have is every episode's kind of just one and off, it's on its own, it connects to nothing else in the series. Yeah, it's fine to have those types of series. That's what Regular Show was for the first 7 seasons pretty much. But it's also nice and rewarding to have a show that actually does have plot points that connect throughout the entire run of the show. If we look at Steven Universe is a series that had a lot of plot points that connected throughout the series, but the thing with Steven Universe is they sprinkled it with a lot of filler in between to try to again appeal to a younger audience so that you can watch the episodes in any order you want when you're airing reruns of the show. But I do think that having a series like Galactic Kids Next Door with a long form story just adds variety to the channel. It just makes the channel more interesting to more people, because if every single show you have is just one and off episode. Nothing connects to episode 1 through 5. You know, everything's, you watch it, has nothing to do with the next one. Again, like I said before, that's good to have. It's not something that you shouldn't have, but not everything should be like that. So I feel like Galactic Kids Next Door, number one, it's just going to add more variety to the channel. It's going to bring a genre that we currently don't have. It's going to bring a more serious tone to the network that we currently don't have. Number two, it's going to attract an older audience, which is a demographic that really doesn't have a place on the channel right now, which is very different from the early 2010s, where there were a lot of shows that were attracting an older audience or being targeted towards an older audience. And the other thing as well is Michael Oline has brought back Andy Tartakovsky. He's brought back Craig McCracken, two creators who worked on multiple series during the 2000s for Cartoon Network. So why not bring back Mr. Warburton as well? Why not bring him back to work on this series? All in all, do I think this show is going to come out at some point? I would say probably at some point. I'd be shocked if this series never comes out, because in my opinion, look, Cartoon Network, if you guys never release Galactic Kids Next Door, I would just say you guys don't know what you're doing, because there is so much fan interest in this series. If you announce this show today, there's immediately going to be thousands upon thousands of people who are going to watch the premiere, just because you have the audience who grew up with Codename Kids Next Door, who sees, oh, I love that series when I was younger, and they're bringing it back, but targeting people my age, targeting an older audience. I am 100% going to check that out. So you have those people as well. Then you also have the current generation of kids who maybe don't know what Codename Kids Next Door is, but they see this series that has darker undertones, that seems like it has a serious plot, that is actually, you know, good. They'll be like, oh, like, this looks cool. This older cousin of mine is watching it, my older brother's watching it, my older sister's watching it, maybe I should go check it out. Maybe this is something that's cool, because look, a lot of times younger kids, they look up to the people that are older than them, their older brothers or sisters or cousins or whatever, and if they see they're watching this series and that it's good, they'll check it out as well. So overall, I don't see any reason not to do this, and for that reason, I think at some point Cartoon Network probably will take another look at this series and say, okay, maybe we should give this a shot. Maybe we should have this show premiere. It doesn't even have to be on Cartoon Network. You can put it on HBO Max. You can put it on your streaming service. Make it happen. Put it on Adult Swim even. It doesn't matter where it premieres. My point is, just make this series, because there's a lot of people interested in it, and it's going to bring a lot of old fans back to your channel, and it's just going to introduce them to other shows as well, because if you're watching Galactic Kids Next Door, guess what? You're now going to know what Craig of the Creek is. You're now going to know what The Amazing World of Gumball is if you hadn't already, because you're going to be seeing commercials for those series while you're watching Galactic Kids Next Door, and overall, it's just going to be better for the brand of Cartoon Network. So, like I said, I think they're going to take another look at this. I think one day it might happen. I'd be surprised if it never happens. And yeah, overall, for all parties involved, I feel like this would be a good thing. It would be a great thing for Cartoon Network. Anyways, let me know in the comment section below what you guys think about all this. Do you guys think that Galactic Kids Next Door is going to premiere one day on the channel, or do you think it's something that we're just never going to see? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.